You're listening to the Who is Christine Anyway podcast season 2. Today's guest is award-nominated actor and musician Brandon Wheeler. Enjoy.
So as far as like musicians, everyone's like, support, but
are they though?
Are you?
Are they though? It's more like, good for you, as they pat your back with a knife in their hand.
What can you do for me? You help me
exactly
out. I have to do something, for you. And going to Chandler, meeting all these people, and never in my mind thought that I would be hanging out with some of these people, or even getting phone numbers. And
were you surprised how normal some of them were?
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
I love that when people are like, wow, you're so normal. I'm like, imagine that. They go home.
I mean,
they have a real life.
My whole thought process was like, holy shit, Tara Reid's here. I'm like,
were you starstruck? Do you have a crush?
I did have a crush. Absolutely. Yeah. I was just like, okay, no, don't say anything about American Pie. Stop it. Shut up.
How much she's probably had to talk about that. Like, you can't, it's just kind of one of those things. You got to find something, I don't know, obsolete.
Absolutely. And, you
need a better wingman. Maybe a wingwoman.
Talking to her and just being normal. That's one thing I did learn about in music. Everyone is, normal. Having a conversation with someone in, Corn, or In This Moment, or, Mushroom Head, like everyone is just normal people, but people, they put them all.
Painfully normal. That's the crazy thing. People are like, wow, I'm like, yeah, imagine that thing. I don't even say I'm painfully normal, because I know that my career is extraordinary, but it's kind of funny because like the second I walk in the door, my kids still call me mom.
Absolutely.
And they're still like, yo, I got a project due tomorrow. And my ass is still hustling to Walmart going, where the fuck are the buttons? Like, I'm like trying to find these things. So it's always interesting when people go, I met them and I found out that when they're not on tour, they have a normal job. That's one of my favorite things. I'm like, isn't that weird? And they're like, no, it's absolutely mind blowing. I'm like, what, that they, you walk in the door and someone says, hey, Dad. I walk in the door, someone's like, hey, Mom. It's like the dog still wants to go outside. The dog doesn't give a fuck. He just wants to go play.
It's everyday normal, And I don't know. It was a really good time. And I think doing that, it allowed even my kids to see that, if you really want to do something, then nothing stops you in your way. Nothing stops you except for you, and my whole philosophy in life is like, I have one life. It's small as shit. And I'm going to do everything I can to just live it and be happy. And, whether it's music or acting, I never was in a band to be like, oh my God, I want to be famous. I want millions of dollars. I do it for myself. I don't do it for anything else. Same with acting.
The dollars don't hurt, but it's one of those things where it's like people have a hard time understanding and separating the artistry from the business.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's, it's one of those things. Like when we look at the people on the stage, you have the artistry. And when you look at the people behind the stage, you have the business. And then I always tell people that the publicists and the marketing managers are the catalysts between the two. We have to turn tickets are X amount of dollars into an entire story as to why this is what this is and what it is for you. And it's understanding that is also a story for the others also. Like there is an entire story that goes into being a musician and understanding, like you were talking about musicianship earlier, and all I could think of, like, it's artisanship. Being a hired gun is a job. Yes, you do sacrifice that level of being able to kind of, you're there to do a job. It's just like going, I don't go to Subway and go, you know what you guys should make? Just like expect them to hear me. It's just not going to work. If you're a hired gun, you're there to be a hired gun. That doesn't mean that sometimes isn't fluid and translates into something else, but it's still that concept of you are a hired gun.
That's right.
But it's being able to be an artist in its own right is a respectable thing. And the fact that if you can turn that into a livable wage and, you know, I don't want to say fulfillment. It really is fulfilling. Like when you do something, and that's the crazy thing. I don't garner success based on financial gain from it or awards. Like I told you, the fact that you even got invited to the awards and have done as much as you have, your catalog is pretty extensive between musician work and film. Not just, you know, and like multitude areas. Like that's what I'm saying. Like you're not a stick. Like, okay, he's an actor. Okay, he's a musician here.
Yeah.
You've got like a platitude of it. And they really do kind of like, you know, you a musician and then you have actor. And realistically, when you look at the gray in between, you have where you're the butcher. You have where you're in Granny Four-Barrel. You're in that scenario where you are acting as something else. You hit stage, you're that person. You come off stage, you're looking for Aquafina.
Yeah.
It's like a character. You're on and off. So being able to be fluid and having that musicianship is really, really superiorly commendable from you. And the fact that you're from upstate is pretty neat. On top of that, too, it's a lot of interesting people that have come up here. You're not missing much up here. Just a lot of snow. Actually, there's a lot you're missing, but still, it is cold. It's very cold still.
Yeah, it's not here. It's nice.
Do you miss the white knuckle drives in the snow? Do you miss it?
No, I get white knuckle drives in Charlotte traffic now.
I was gonna say, see, that's my biggest transitionary issue. Is like if I come from up here, I'm like, throw snow at me all day, I'll get through it. But then you send me into these highly densely populated areas, and it is just like, I'm hyperventilating, and I look like the Garfield Klingon to the fucking window because I'm just like, oh my God, there's lane splitting, and there's people throwing things from the overpasses, and I'm terrified.
It's insane. Like, I
will be Ubering and never renting cars.
Oh, it's bad here. I mean, the traffic is...
Still visit?
I would still, yeah. Yeah,
I'd still go visit. Everyone likes a challenge.
Mm-hmm. I mean, this location here is for acting purposes. You know, I can drive, 4 hours to Atlanta. You know, I could go to 2.5 to Florida. I can go up to Pennsylvania, which is 6 hours.
You can also just hop on a plane. Like you're
Absolutely.
right there. You're so close. I mean, and people are going to go, well, you could have done that in Syracuse too. And I'm like, snow belt.
Yeah.
I'm like, no. I mean, I may say I want to go to the Bahamas, and they're like, okay, delayed. Like that happened to me one year. Like I spent 16 hours with Dahlia was less than a year old. She was strapped to the front of me. And like my teenager, well, they weren't teenagers. Maybe they were just cusping into teenagerhood. We're like laying in the chairs sleeping. And it was like 16 hours overnight in an airport. My back was screaming. You don't have to deal with that here. The only thing that I would probably find absolutely amusing is driving on a freeway if they got a dusting of snow. Like the fact that it's sheer terror for them. They're like, everything is closed. And I'm like, oh no, I can get where I need to be in a reasonable amount of time without that traffic.
They shut down everything. They do that. They actually, when we got snow, I think a month ago in January, and probably a dusting, they shut down work. My kid had to do work classes and school. And I was like, are you shitting me? I'm used to driving like 4 feet of snow. Come on. And like, no, we have to shut everything down. Everything is shut down. The roads are shut. And I was like, this is insane. But
yeah, we had like this impromptu midday. Like they had a warning out, obviously. And everyone just kind of goes, up here. You know how it is. And the warning was like 4 to 6 inches and then rain on top of that. So awesome. An ice storm. And they still had the kids go to school. They dismissed the kids at like 12:30, sent them home. Buses were going off the road. And like, they're like, I'm like, it's like the magic school bus on the highway. I imagine. I'm just like, wow. But they still had school. Like, regardless, we barely ever get cancellations.
It's weird. I mean, I do understand though, because we don't have salt. You know, there's not really. I mean, there's no plows, so we can't get prepared for the dusting that's about to happen. But
Dusting.
The ice.
You make it sound so innocent. You're like, the light dusting throws them into terror.
It's just people don't know how to drive. So, I don't know if they understand, like when it drops down, it gets cold and there's water because it rained previously. 32
is freezing, folks. When it turns to ice, then you should probably look for black ice.
Right. And they don't. They still go 55 and a 30.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you see cars tipped over and oh my God, it's insane.
And then here goes you up the middle, like just fine.
Oh yeah, I'm just.
It's the same thing though when people come up here to visit, because like I'm like flying down the back roads which have no lines on them. Because I'm up here, like we've got bunking back roads. It's amazing. And we're doing 60 and like deer are everywhere. And everyone's like, aren't you terrified? And I'm like, nah, it's fine. They did a whole training course on this. Like I know to try to like hit the deer, not the tree. And if I can avoid either, I'd rather do that. Like I'm the person though who, if I hit a deer, I get out and I apologize to the deer because I feel horrible. But it makes no sense. Like my car's smashed, there's fluid everywhere. It could be on fire. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. And then everyone's like, do you want to keep it? And I'm like, I just annihilated it. Like it's bruised, it's ruined. And they're like, oh, you're going to leave it there? It is. Like I've seen some shit. Like deer's antlers get blown off.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But they're overpopulated like crazy up here now.
Yeah, I think like not in Charlotte. I haven't seen any deer in Charlotte, but if you go up towards like Raleigh, you can see some deer.
Do you miss the wildlife? Do you miss it up here? Like the quiet? I mean, Syracuse itself isn't quiet, but the ability to go like an hour out and get somewhat peace.
I think the only thing that I really do miss is my daughter's still in New York, so I miss that. I see her on the summer vacation when she's out of school. Which the goal is to have her come here after I think next year. So she already loves it down here. My son lives in the obviously saw. But I think there's a different culture here. They drive like shit, but they're some of the nicest people.
It's great. We got Trader Joe's or whatever the hell's down the street, but they fucking suck at driving. Like
yeah, and I'm pretty much I am from New York, obviously. So me saying that is a New York thing. They're shit drivers, but man, they're nice fucking people. It's like
except for people from Massachusetts and New Jersey, you all suck.
Yeah, they suck. They fucking suck.
What do we call them? It's like mass holes, and then New Jersey is like the armpit of the. And it's so unfair because I have so many friends from both. I'm like, you're a wonderful person. Just stay the fuck away from my car.
Like if I date someone, I'm gonna be like, I want to know your driving record. I want to drive with you first before we even start this relationship, because then I can know.
You could start a whole dating app where it's just an upload of the DMV record.
Yeah, it's like
excuse me, I'm gonna need all your car facts. I know
Carfax.
Yeah, Carfax. What would we call it? Like plot facts or something? Like,
yeah,
I don't even know, like, that's in. It's like that. It's like, ma'am, I see you've had 3 isolated incidences. I'm gonna have to go ahead and pass. I don't even know. Like I've never done dating apps, so I don't know if it's like left or right is good or bad. But just go the bad way.
Yeah, it'd be nice if we had like a chart that just floats above our head about how many relationships that we've had. How many personalities we have.
Ooh, come on. No, that's not going to work for me.
That'd be like, oh shit.
I actually have a shirt that says like, I am a walking red flag. Like, does that count? Like, pretty much accurate. I figure if I just put it out there, like for the world, I'm like, there we go. Now she's not so approachable.
You'll be surprised. Sometimes people like that. People like red flags. Look at me.
We'll have some weird kinks.
Love red flags.
I heard you're absolutely terrible. I'm like, oh, so awful.
My favorite color is red. So.
Yeah.
That's what I should do. Get a shirt that says my favorite color is red and just do a flag.
Attracted to circuses.
Yeah.
Loves carnivals. Like, that would be the best. There's so many red flags. Like, that's what I tell people. I'm like, there's so many red flags with me. It's like looking at a carnival. Like, my job is not merciful. I am forever working on 15 different things. I will straight ditch you for my job. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I will also be like, it's an artistic type thing. So sometimes I'm home for like 2 weeks. But like, if my kids have something come up, like, I always place them over it. So I will straight like completely cancel a trip to go to a concert or to go to like, and not like a fancy concert, but like my kids' Christmas concerts or, something like that. Like that always really drove me really badly. Like if I had to do something and I was going to miss one of my kids' events, like the amount of just, I don't know, as a parent, that was really hard to swallow. And my kids, the kids are always like, it's okay, there's others.
Yeah, it's they understand that, but as parents, I would have loved to take my son to, Chandler, the film festival and the film awards show. And there was just no way of doing that, there was just, I guess, if you want to do things, you have to sacrifice certain things. And unfortunately, if you have kids or if you have animals, sometimes those sacrifices, they get affected. But
yeah, I try to keep that minimal. I really do.
Yeah. I didn't. I wasn't able to. And in the band, I was just so into it. And I'm not saying I'm not into it with acting now, but I'm more focused and I choose certain things.
You've chosen temperance. You've understood temperance. Like you don't have to say yes to every project. Like I would rather have 3 projects I've said yes to in a year that come out amazing than to have 12 projects that come out mediocre myself. And
I have tons of projects. Like I'm
you should. You should always have your hand in like 12 pots at once, but
I love it. I just like not enough time in a day. Like I'm working on a script, eventually trying to piece that for the next couple of years with some people that I met at Chandler. So that's a negotiation, which is exciting.
It's on my bucket list to end up in a movie or a music video. So I don't care if I'm an extra. I just want to like walk along the back, like that creepy little head that floats along, or just like some, obsolete or obsequious line, like just something like what, like something short, or me accepting an award, going, "What the fuck is this?" Whatever, it's cool. But I kind of like, especially with having kids, and like you said, you have to give some things up. But at the same time, I kind of got really obstinate on that. And like when I was a kid, I had like perfect attendance and a lot of grades. I was a fucking horrid student, incredibly smart, had a like kind of shitty home life. So it was very But then like when I had my kids, I just kind of like got to the point where I'm like, you know what? Sitting in school for those 181 days. 181 days didn't make a difference if I did 180 or if I did 160. So if an opportunity would arise, like, man, or whatever, I would just straight put them on the plane with me and be like, all right, they're missing 2 weeks of school. Email them whatever they need to know. They'll catch up when they can. We're going to go have a good time. And I found that like my kids' mental health actually improved because they were like, we're doing things. And they're getting cultured because, there's a little bit of a stronghold for culture up here. So for them to be able to be like, I'm going to go do this, it kind of has like the benefits of homeschooling, but not homeschooling. And at the same time, they're meeting people. They're seeing things. They're also seeing, too, that they can forge their own path. So, you're right. Sometimes pets and kids kind of get sidelined would be the term, I think. But I think there's a lot of times I'd rather shove my dog in a plane seat next to me and be like, we got shit to do.
Yeah. So, like, that's the thing. Like, when I was in a band, and you had management and you had labels and all this stuff, you couldn't make choices, I couldn't be like, okay, I want my own bus for my kids to be there, or I couldn't have my kids on the bus because there was only enough for,
there's rules. You're a session player. You're a hired gun.
Yeah. So now that I'm in film, like my son's been to so many movies, my daughter's been on movie sets.
Always put your kids on your fucking riders. I always tell people that. Put your kids on your, like, even for bands, I'm like, listen, if I'm getting your rider, I want you to assume your wife is going to show up and it's her birthday. Does that mean that because there should be an advance before a show, obviously with your tour manager. And I'm like, if I'm on venue side, this is what I do. And if I'm on band side, it's the same side. So sometimes I will go ahead and advance whichever direction and go, hey, this person is going to be there. We can activate that. Or this person isn't going to be there. We can just omit this. And meeting that middle ground, because we go back to like the basic business concepts. A happy artist is going to be a better producer. So if you're feeling like your family's involved, if your family has that ability to support you and be encouraging, you're going to react better, act better, do better as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy. So I don't know. What do you got coming up? Like, what's good?
What do I got coming up? So
where's February? It's 2025. What you got?
Right now, just working on. I do have a band that I'm putting together. So music wise, so I have a couple releasing some scores, some movies that I did. So I did Graveyard Shark and I did Axe Grinder 666. So I'm in the process of getting that kind of mixed, mastered, and releasing those scores, an album. And then I got in the middle of that, I'm working on writing a couple of scripts. So I got a horror suspense, and then I have a action thriller. And then I'm going to try to, the next couple of years, do a pitch deck and send it out and see who gets attached, and pretty much know the actress in mind to play a certain role. That's we just got to get management involved and do it right. So hopefully that works out in a couple of years. And then just auditioning, just auditions. You know, that's the thing too. Like I only have to audition movies that I like. You know, I'm not in the mind frame where, like, I have to audition every single script. You know, like I can't. I have to like the script. I have to want to see myself in that moment, in a sense, you know. So before, like back in, a couple of years ago, I said back in the day, fuck, it's like
you're aging yourself so bad.
It's only been 4 years of acting.
Careful, people know we're around the same age, so this is going to be.
So
do not
before,
age
like when
yourself.
I started out, I would pick every role, you know, and I would try every audition and.
But that is such a mistake, even in music.
Absolutely.
You know that's a mistake. You can't
Absolutely.
take every gig. You can't take every venue.
Yeah.
Because then it does not drive your value up. You should not be touring for X amount of days. You should not be doing like, and I shouldn't say X amount of days. Like if we're cresting over, a wild number of days, then there's a problem.
Absolutely. I think what separates that thought process is you have to be able to market yourself. You know, and if you don't market yourself, then you can do all the auditions you want. And if you're not marketing yourself, you're just not going to stand out, you know?
And the difference between marketing and sales is giving the story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? People want the story. They want the person who has the story. And it's not like a jab, like to somebody who's come from, I really don't think this is a socioeconomic thing, because I think that, people start to understand that stories don't necessarily have a class. Some of the higher ups have amazing stories. Some people have started from the bottom and worked their way through. Some people have been all over the place, middle class, and worked their way through. And you're right. You have to market yourself, and you have to, it's so weird to say be a product.
You have to be.
I know I practice it too, for fuck's sake. It's one of those things where it's like you have to be the product. And at the same time, it's like, I don't know. Sometimes it can get blurry when you go into your personal life and people are like, well, I like this, but you are this, and it's that. And there's a difference. There's a difference. So, like the home version of you may prefer Dawn dish soap over Palmolive, and they would be like, I never suspected that based on your character. Like, you see a lot of shit on TV, like the TLC channel, where they're like, oh, I want to do this, and they just assume that you are that all the time. Or, like My Strange Addiction?
Yeah.
Those type of shows where they think that the person is like the character
they are, and that's funny you said that, because so when we watched the whole theater that we watched our screening, our movie was completely packed, and now I met all these other people.
Thanks for the invite.
Sorry. and after
you're forgiven.
After the movie, everyone came up to me and was just like, I probably wouldn't come up to you if I didn't meet you first. Like your antagonist was so on point. Like, I probably wouldn't come up to you and say hi, And that's just, that tells me I did a really good job. Honestly, that was my award, But it's funny that people really connect you to a character, and, even on a movie, whoever that person is that I'm playing, people really think like, wow, he's kind of that way, the character of the butcher in Granny Fourbarrel. A lot of times people thought I was just this badass brute that just beat the shit out of everyone, which that was the character, but everyone really thinks a lot of that stuff, they do. And it's interesting. I thought it was interesting.
Keep listening for the next part of my conversation with Brandon.
Visit www.whoischristineanyway.com for access to all the social media links and additional podcast episodes.